This is a Firebirds Extra. I'm joined here with two of my broadcasters, Sean Hooley and David Fine. Sean, going into the 5 final games of the season, you know the team pretty well, I'm sure. How can you notice, or how has the team changed and gotten together from the first time you saw them until now?
Well, obviously, it's a lot of people going in and out, a lot of injuries, people having to go home, various reasons. So it's really been kind of this next man up mentality, different kind of guys having to do different roles. We've seen a mix up in the lineup. Johnny Sewald moving down to 2, Jeff DeGart going to the top, Fletcher going down to the bottom to try to even things out a bit. And then the pitching staff's been kind of, you look at guys like Colton Mahoney, Nathan Bannister, they're really locking it down in the starting rotation, and it's going to be getting that offense going, which is going to help them going forward.
How would you say the guys that have been trying to adjust to new positions have done their job?
I think they've done really well. You look at Mitch Tolman came into the season playing. He was recruited as a second baseman, but he's been playing third base at Oregon, so he moves over to second, and he's been turning the double play really well with Fletcher. They look like a good combo up the middle there. And then Cole Perigin on the other side going over to third base is, he's adjusting to that longer throw, and he's making some big plays at third.
Dave, now you know your players very well. Been working with them for the whole summer.
I do?
Yes. Who would you say has been the most improved from the first day of the summer till now?
I know this would be a dark horse answer, and you might say, what are you talking about? I really think it's Jacob Cronenworth. It's tough for these guys when they're not playing every day like they do in college a lot. This is something that Jacob's father mentioned to me, Charlie, that it's been tough on Jacob at times to not be in the lineup every day. And he's made that adjustment to be one of the top relievers really in the Cape League. And he's played in some spots, and no, he's not going to have a 300 average over 100 at-bats like other players on this team, but there's something to be said for adjusting the way Jacob has done to fill his role. And you may very well see him tonight against Harwich fill that role as a closer if Orleans is up late in innings. That's still very important.
Now we talk about the 3-way tie. Can we talk about YD? We talked about this yesterday, actually. YD didn't have a great start. How far do you think YD will get?
Well, if you ask me right now, they might be the best team in the league. But that's how it goes. Last year at this time, Harwich was the best team in the league. And then Orleans went on that 11-1 run at the end of the season, or 11-1 run last 13 games of the season. And then Orleans was in the Cape League final. And then Orleans is the best team from the East. You really don't know. Orleans has not necessarily been playing the best right now, Rose, of the other teams. YD has. But you know what? Falmouth in the West, when Orleans played them a few weeks ago, didn't look like they were right around 500. Now they're 2 points behind Bourne for best in the West. You wouldn't have said that a few weeks ago, but then Bourne might rise. So I think YD might be the best team in the league right now, but in a week from now, 5 games with amateur players, college kids, 19, 20 years old, and playoff start, best of 3 series, who knows?
Now we talk about the 3-way tie and coming into the playoffs. Sean, do you have any crazy playoff predictions?
I don't know if it's a prediction, but I'm going to say that the first round could very well be the toughest matchup for Orleans. I think, especially if the season's been going the way it has, with Harwich kind of beating everyone else besides Orleans and YD. They've been really doing a good job beating the other teams. So if it's a YD-Orleans matchup in the first round, that could very well be the toughest one, because they've been a tough matchup for Orleans. They've lost the last 3 against YD after winning the first 3. So I'd say my prediction is if they get out of the first round, you have to consider them the favorite to win the title.
Dave, what about your predictions?
I have a crazy prediction that Coach Kelly Nicholson might look back at me right now and say, what's going on with this? Because he's the manager here. But Sam Moore will get an at-bat in the playoffs, and he will get a hit in the playoffs. That's my prediction. Relief pitcher here on Orleans, Sam Moore, who was standing in the on-deck circle last night right before the game ended. Sean and I were joking at the time, Rose, Sam Moore's going to get an at-bat. What if he comes up as the tying run? And then the final out was made, so it didn't matter much. But my prediction, Sam Moore will get an at-bat.
So let's say Orleans got to the final, past the first round, past the second round. Who would be ideal for Orleans to face?
Hyannis. Hyannis is going to be the number 4 seed in the West. You'd say Hyannis now, but if Hyannis beats Bourne and then goes on and beats a team like Falmouth, then you don't want to play Hyannis. I don't think there's really an ideal matchup. Hyannis is very fast. Getting out of the logistics, I don't think there's any ideal matchup for any team, just because you're dealing with 19, 20-year-old college kids, some 21, and Mahoney's on the mound tonight. He's 22 years old, but these guys aren't veterans. These guys are still honing their craft. You could see a bad start at any night from one of these guys, and a good 2-3 game stretch, all of a sudden you're in the second round or maybe a game away from the finals. It's tough. It's just tough.
Sean, lastly, the Firebirds dropped the game against YD yesterday. How do you think they bounced back from that win to be able to beat Harwich after the last time they faced Harwich, they went into extra innings and won. But how would they bounce back from that?
Well, I mean, it certainly helps when you have Colton Mahoney on the mound. Obviously an all-star, arguably the best pitcher on the staff this year. He's been phenomenal. He's faced this Harwich team before, or actually I'm not sure, but he's done well this season, you know. You go back to that start he had against YD when he threw 6 innings here, 11 strikeouts, and in a big spot you expect that out of your big starter. So having him on the mound certainly helps. It's really going to be the offense trying to click. They've been struggling. They've only scored about, they haven't been able to get over that 3-run mark in the last week or so. But it's really going to be getting that production from the bottom of the lineup. They got Dathan Pruitt in tonight. That could be, maybe what the offense needs. You have his speed. You get him, a few balls on the ground that he's beating out in the infield could really turn things over to the top of the lineup. And it's really just going to be that well-timed hitting they had it last week. It's going to be keeping the score low because that's the way this team kind of goes right now. It's the pitching carrying them. So if they can keep the score around 3 or 4, they're going to be in a good spot to win the game.
Again, this was a Firebirds Extra. Join here with broadcasters Sean Hooley and David Fine. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Rose. The best.